Welcome. I'm so excited to do this episode today of a relaunch. 7 years ago, some of you may not know, I had a podcast called Crown and Sage, and it was a podcast focused on mainly men's issues, generational issues, health, wellness, uh, and was inspired recently by my wife. And we are officially relaunching the Crown and Sage podcast, but instead of me leading the fold, I decided to collaborate with my beautiful wife, and we're going to be doing a lot of really exciting stuff. We're going to be talking about marriage stuff, y-
Finances,
finances. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about mental health, men's issues,
men's issues, women
women's
issues.
issues, all kinds of stuff, fatherhood, motherhood, dealing with teenagers. But I'm just so happy to be here to relaunch this project, but now as a collaborative effort with my wife. We just celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary. Congratulations, babe.
And yeah, thank you. That
Yeah.
is one of my biggest accomplishments in this lifetime. Yeah,
Mine too.
being married to you for 20
Oh man, it's a
years.
challenge. It's that big of a challenge, huh? Awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It
So,
is a challenge. Thank you so much for putting up with me and being so patient, loving, and giving me grace.
no.
And we're going to be talking a lot about those topics. So I thought it would be fitting to relaunch this podcast talking about marriage. Now we're going to do a series of marriage episodes, but today I want to talk about a few topics when it comes to marriage. Is that okay?
That's great. That's fine.
Perfect.
What do you want
Perfect.
to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about one of the best advice I got at our wedding. At our wedding in Puerto Vallarta, I had my uncle Tim come up to me, and I think I've shared the story with you. He came up to me at the reception. He pulls me over. And he says, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, well, what's up, Uncle Tim?" And he says, "Hey, I want to give you some advice for your success in your marriage." I said, "All right, give it to me." So he said, "Don't forget to date your wife." So I started laughing. I'm like, "Of course, I'm not going to forget to date my wife." No, no, no. You don't understand, Miguel. You have to make sure that your wife is still your girlfriend and you have to make time for each other. Right now, it's easy. You're going to be in the honeymoon stage, but eventually you may have kids, which we do. We have three beautiful kids, and you both have careers, and it gets really easy to lose oneself in other things and neglect your spouse. So make sure that you go out of your way to date your wife. So I want to talk about that dating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very important in our marriage, especially very difficult to commit
it
to
can
it.
be.
Seasons are all over the place, and sometimes there's a lot of time, and sometimes there's no time. So I think I found it very challenging to date when we had babies.
Yes.
But I do agree with you that it is the reason that we are celebrating 20 years is that our commitment to dating has been a key part of our marriage. So thank you, Uncle Tim. That was really good advice, and we have followed it
Yeah.
not perfectly, but nothing. Marriage isn't perfect.
Yeah.
I like how we have made time when we're really busy. Coffee in the morning or working out
Yeah.
has been, that it's a date, it's considered date. I think the important part of that commitment has been away from the kids, away from the kids, away from
Our businesses
our
too.
businesses, away from doing chores and just focusing on getting to know each other.
Yeah. And that's been a real I would say like just a magical effect on our marriage. The fact that we do continue to make time for one another, irrespective of what's going on in our lives, our individual lives at work, our business. And I know oftentimes when things get really tough or challenging, stressful, or we just get really busy with kid activities, it's really easy to lose sight of what a date should look like or when you should spend time together. Man, I'm really tired. I don't know if I want to go out tonight. Um, and when I'm out there talking to my dudes, my bros, and we're talking about date night, or when you and I give advice to other couples when we're asked, I often talk about, and you were the one who actually um, defined this for me because I thought that every date had to be like a grand gesture of some sort, like it had to be dinner, it had to be a whole show. And then you were so busy, you were traveling a lot, and you come back into town. You're like, "Hey, I just have time for coffee. Is that cool?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we sit down for coffee, and we slow things down. We turn our phones off, and we just look at each other and hang out and talk and get to know one another.
Yeah. For me, Miguel, I think the dating part has been so important because I need you to know who I am as I'm changing.
Right.
Who I was 20 years ago is completely different than who I am today. There might be little elements of it, little pieces of it, but I'm a different person
Yeah.
as you are.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't taken the time to religiously date each other and get to know who we are as we're growing in these different spaces, that was one of my biggest fears is
Yeah.
turning around one day and looking at you and wondering, who are you?
Who the hell is that
And you
guy?
don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So I think now that I can look back and honestly this 20-year anniversary that we had this week has been so grand for me. Like just really reflecting on all of the work that we have put in this marriage and how dating
Yeah.
has been a big component among other things,
Hmm.
and that we can talk about later, like intimacy,
Right.
and not sexual intimacy.
That's a whole nother
Yeah,
episode.
that is a whole nother episode.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think even when we go on a hike or even a walk with the dogs, not that I'm checking off a box or anything like that, but I will count that as a date or a moment when we're together and just enjoying each other's companies, asking questions. Um, and I'll say this for most men, I think men can get really recluse, especially when things are tough, when things are not going as you planned or not as you liked, and it can be really easy for men to kind of shut down. Even the most boisterous of men like myself, you can't get me to shut up. But when things are tough, I don't really want to talk about them. But I think when we spend time together as a couple, um, getting to rekindle and you know re-engage on an emotional level, spiritual level with one another, that's been really helpful. And it's helped me open up about certain vulnerabilities that I may have, insecurities I may have about things that are going sideways with my business or what have you. And to be able to really commit to to being open and vulnerable with you has, I think, really enhanced my experience in the marriage. It was so challenging in the beginning, right? In the sense of
It was. It
trying to,
wasn't easy.
yeah, it wasn't easy.
And it wasn't because we weren't attracted to each
Yeah,
other or crazy about each other, because we were crazily
I'm s-
attracted to
I'm
each
still
other.
crazy. I'm still crazy about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was real, and living together is a completely different experience. We didn't live together before we got married,
Wow.
so it was all brand new, and then we got pregnant right away.
Yeah, we did. That was a plan, right? Remember we had a life plan. I think
We had a life
we
plan.
had dinner
Make
with
a
your.
life plan
We had a yeah. We had a dinner
for
with your
God
aunt
to
and
laugh.
uncle. I remember, and yeah, your uncle kept asking us, "So when do you guys plan to have kids?" And I think you were like, "Oh no, 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 no! We're gonna be married 5 years at least. We're gonna travel. We're gonna do all kinds of
I
stuff.
was gonna get my
You were gonna
master's.
get your masters
Yep.
and yada yada yada." And yeah, 5 months later, we you know we're pregnant.
There we are. And we started completely unplanned and young. It felt like we were young, even though we weren't
Yeah.
that young. I was 27.
Well, that's young.
Yeah, it felt young. I
That's
felt
young. That is young.
I felt completely unprepared.
Yeah.
But there we are. We started our life together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's been fun. Now, I wanted to dispel a myth that I think a lot of people in our society have too, and I think you and I maybe struggled with this in the beginning, and thank God for a lot of the work that we did through our church growth groups and whatnot. We were able to go past this myth that I really is a stumbling block for a lot of marriages, and this is the idea. And I think this is more Western, or at least I don't know if this is an American concept of our society here or a modern trend, but I find that a lot of people and a lot of gentlemen who I talk to about marriage have this notion, and I think a lot of women have this too, um, that marriage is 50-50. It's a business, it's a partnership. What do you think about that?
oh well, that was the one of the advices that I got from my father when we were first married, going to get married. I had told him very confident because I thought I knew exactly everything about life and what I was doing. And I told him, Dad, it's a partnership. We're going to get married, and it's a partnership. And he just looked at me and he said, You're absolutely wrong. Marriage is not a partnership. It is not a business transaction. It's anything but a partnership, because a partnership is 50-50, and marriage is rarely 50-50. are you're rarely going to both be giving the same amount of effort. He's like, it's always going to be one is going to be giving more, one is going to have less to give, one is going to be pulling more,
Yeah.
and the percentages are going to be anything but 50-50. And that really made me reflect like, wow, I didn't think of that. I thought it would all be fair. And after 20 years, it's not. Marriage is definitely not fair and it's not equal,
It's not.
but that is what makes marriage valuable.
It is. And I wholeheartedly agree with your father in that regard. There is a push pull factor. Um, I was listening to a gal. She's done a lot of research. I just went blank on her name. She's had several TED talks where she talks about love and vulnerability, and she was talking about this concept specifically about 50-50 idea. Hey, I'm 50, you're 50. She said, well, if you think of it in ratios like that, she's like, I sometimes I don't have enough to give, so I need my husband to bring it up and bring up the energy and bring up and push me, and sometimes it's inverted. It's the other way around. So that's a big concept. And I do believe marriages go through phases. This is my own take on it, but initially you're in the honeymoon stage. Oh, you're so cute. And the way you laugh is so funny, so cute. And then a year later, you're like, oh my god, she's so annoying. You're not annoying. You're fun. They go through phases, and then you start realizing that you start living your marriage in a way that you're conditioned in one way, and she's conditioned, or your partner or your spouse is conditioned in another way, and then you start having this battle of attrition, almost, where I want it my way, no, I want it my way. And then you start realizing, holy crap, if we continue on this battle, it's going to get uglier and uglier. And I think that's where a lot of marriages have obstacles, because there's not a coming together of the relationship and creating a one, like a you become one. That's really the idea of marriage, is you become one. And if I'm fighting you and I'm trying to hurt you, I'm trying to beat you and win in an argument, I'm hurting you. Well, I'm really hurting myself if we're really one, and vice versa, right? If you're trying to win and have me feel the pain, then really you're only hurting yourself. So this idea of 50-50 is really misconstrued. We're gonna have a whole episode on that with some guests about this concept. But if you find yourself, and this is the advice I would give couples, if you find yourself in this war of attrition where you're like 50-50,
Mhm.
I really want to challenge people, and you let me know if I'm right or wrong on this. I want to challenge that instead of figuring out how to change the other person, figure out how to change yourself first. How can I engage more? How can I contribute more to this relation? How can I serve my spouse more? Right? And what do you think about that
Yeah,
concept?
no, I agree. I want to hear about a time that you feel like you've been depleted in our marriage, where you felt like you couldn't give your 50 or whatever, your portion. And
Wow, you're gonna take me back there, huh?
well, I
Yeah,
mean, if you want to share.
there was times, particularly, when in early on in our marriage, when we were going through the Great Recession, and my business was just not a business. I don't know what it was, but I was still out there trying, grinding. It was very difficult for me to really express and expose myself to you, in the sense I'm really struggling with this. I'm failing here, and not failing because of lack of effort, but failing, period. And it's really hard for men, I think, to be vulnerable with women, because oftentimes in our history, the times that men are vulnerable, oftentimes that is later used against you as a man by your wife, your girlfriend, what have you. So it's a scary proposition, but it also comes from a place of, hey, man, you're the man. You're supposed to be strong. Hold your shit together, dude. Like, eat it. Like, you're not allowed to complain. You're not allowed to be scared. You're not allowed to be afraid or feel lonely. And if you do, it could freak your spouse out. And the last thing we want to do is freak our spouse out. We don't want to freak you out. We don't want to scare you with our level of insecurity. And men have this level of insecurity. We just don't know how to express it, because it is very, very frightening to be so exposed, and then feel that it's gonna be used against you, it's gonna be brought up, and it's gonna be seen as a weakness and not a strength. Now, what I've been able to do over the years, thank God to you, I've been able to reframe that, not as a weakness, but as a strength, as a sign of boldness of, "Hey, I'm struggling here. I need help, or I need you to give me space to work this shit out." And you've done a really good job with that to give me the space to be able to to hash things out and, like, or you've been able to be a good sounding board. And I took some practice, it took some
Yeah.
practice, but
Yeah.
do you recall those times?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. And it's, that's all the thread of our marriage, right? Like the ups and the downs and the good and the bad and the real stuff that's happening when life is happening. And that's the whole concept here, that it's not 50-50.
Yeah.
Right now, I've changed careers,
Mhm.
right? And I'm completely in a vulnerable
Yeah.
space. And I love it. I never thought I would. I thought it would be the scariest thing ever to be dependent on you in all aspects. Me doing loans, now, and you as a realtor, changing industries has been
Yeah.
very vulnerable. But I've never been so happy. And I'm not, and I'm barely making an income. I'm only a few months in, but things are happening. And every day I wake up so happy because I am now dependent on you in a different way. And you're my biggest cheerleader. So I think that's beautiful
Oh,
because I see myself, now in a place where I'm not, I don't need to give
yeah.
all 100%. I don't have it to give. So I'm receiving.
Yeah.
And, that's beautiful, is to also learn how to receive.
Well, that's a beautiful segue because often that's a big problem too. The not being able to receive. That's a huge, huge predicament for a lot of couples. Uh, One, because if you don't know how to receive, you don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
And that's really challenging. I struggled with that
You
receivership.
did.
I did. I struggled with receiving. I struggled with, like,
Yeah.
receiving love, receiving, help, or, you know, uh, just I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know if I felt that it was weak to receive. My concepts are so backwards, and I think a lot of men struggle. A lot of men struggle with this.
I wouldn't
A lot of men
disagree.
struggle with this. Women are you're so much more wired for that interconnectedness. Well, I mean, women, you guys could get together in a room full of strange ladies you've never met, and all of a sudden you're crying together, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Guys are like, "What's up? What's up? What's up?" it's so it's so hard. It's hard to receive. Even to this
Yeah.
day, I still struggle with it, but I'm much better. I'm much better at giving myself grace. What I've discovered is if I give myself grace, if I'm forgiving and loving with myself, and I can then be more graceful and loving with you and the kids and the people around my life.
Yeah. In your orbit.
Mhm.
And I think we need to give some credit, a lot of credit to having tools, right?
Yeah.
We have put a lot of time and effort in learning how to properly communicate with each other. We did many years of couple Bible studies, which I think have been everything.
Yeah.
I often credit our church, who
Yeah.
had what was it called? The
Re-engage.
Reengage. And we had an amazing pastor who led us for
And
years.
then we led groups.
And then we led groups and we had people at our homes. And really our focus has always been, supposedly we were leading, but we were students.
Yeah.
We were students. And I think all the work that we learned and all of the tools that we gathered from our readings have been the foundation of a
Yeah.
successful marriage that we have.
Yeah. I agree. And I would say for couples, if you want to succeed, you got to always be working at it, studying. It's like fitness, like, hey, I want a six pack, but I want to not work out and not, you know, eat clean and whatnot. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts to success in marriage. And one of the big takeaways too from the studies of the reengage was being present with one another, being shoulder to shoulder. Um, and do you want to talk about that concept, shoulder to shoulder concept?
Well, I have to say that's not one of my strengths. I definitely will
Say why.
say
Say why though.
because I often will try to do 100 things
Hmm.
in that shoulder to shoulder time. If it's something as simple, so shoulder to shoulder time is us just spending time together, undistracted. It can be watching a movie or a series, or I like to take walks. You're not a big fan, but
Well, I like
you
hikes.
like
I
hikes.
like hikes.
I know. But it's being just with each other
Yeah.
without a distraction, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So for me, oftentimes I I enjoy going to the movies or watching a movie at home, and I enjoy your company and you enjoying the movie with me, the film. Even if we don't say a word, as talkative as I am, I don't talk during movies. I'm like, everyone be quiet. I'm paying attention. I'm locked in. I love theater. I love movies. Um, and for me, it's really, or even just driving. Sometimes we take these little rides. We'll go to Temecula or by the Guadalupe, and it's just you and I, and we're listening to music. Well, I'm listening to music, but if you're on your phone on social media, you're not really there with me. And I don't know what it is about that just really bothers me. But I'm like, she's not present at the moment. I'm trying to enjoy her essence right now in the moment. And this is not a complaint or a
No,
critique,
I
just
know.
as
You
an
should
example.
stay in your circle,
I'm staying
but
in my circle. The
but you're
way
not
I the
doing
way
that.
I'm the way I'm feeling that is that you're not present. And I would love for you to be present.
You're
There you
totally
go. Does
right.
that make
You're
sense?
totally right.
You
And
see,
it's
we learn
something
that's one of the things we learn, guys, is like speak from that's perfect example of how not to do it.
yeah.
Don't do
No,
it
but
that way.
it's real.
But
It's
it's
real and I'm
yeah, stay
aware.
stay within the circle, the way
Yeah.
I experience things is
Yeah.
and that's an example. Um and we work on that. Oftentimes you might be, like, hey, let's go walk the dogs. I'm like, okay, I'll go walk the dog with you. I don't really want to walk the dog. But I'll go walk the dogs with you. And I might want to take a phone call for work, and that's not fair to you. I'm spending time with you. So that presence, the to be able to be present with someone, even if you're not speaking, goes so far in creating depth in your relationship. That knowing that she's got my back,
Yeah.
I've got her back.
I agree. My favorite shoulder to shoulder time is interesting because I hated it in the beginning, is working out with you.
Oh yeah.
And recently, in the recent years, we haven't made time because we're on different regimens.
Hmm.
And I feel really bad to take your time away from all the things that you're doing from a workout perspective to basically you're like training me, even though we're working out together.
Yeah.
But that has become one of my most favorite shoulder to shoulder time.
I enjoy it too. I mean, partly because I get to teach. I get to teach you, and
Yeah,
you're such a bad
I
student.
am a bad student.
But no, I agree. Those moments you gotta take the opportunities where they are, right? So sometimes you gotta work out together in the garage, or you go for coffee, you go walk the dogs. I really enjoy hiking, and I love it when you come with me. You're a little slow,
I
but
am slow
but
again.
I enjoy my hikes with you, where we get to the top of the mountain. We're like, cool, let's go walk back down. And it wasn't even really about getting to the top of the mountain. It's just like, hey, we're gonna have a good workout. We're gonna be out in nature. We're gonna spend time together. We're gonna talk about everything under the sun, and it's just so enriching. It's an enrichment that occurs when you're present and you're walking together, shoulder to shoulder in life, in marriage together. It's a good practice. So as you do one thing, you do everything. So start going on walks with your spouse.
What do you think working out together has taught us? So we started that during COVID.
Yeah.
And I initially was not happy about it because I felt you were going to be really hard on me.
I was.
But, like I said, I love it now. But what do you think that experience taught us? And how do you think that it's played into our marriage and the
Oh, yeah.
strength of our marriage?
So many things. We should have started working out together a long time
I
ago.
agree.
Even if it's just once a week together.
Yeah.
So there's an old saying. If most of our listeners, viewers, know this saying. It says, "Blood is stronger than water." Is that what it goes?
Light is thicker.
Thicker than, yeah. Blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water. See, she always knows all the answers. Blood is thicker than water, and most people these days would assume that meaning is what
Oh,
family.
family. Yeah.
Family
Yeah.
is
Is
thicker.
stronger.
The
Yeah.
family bond is thicker than anything else.
Hmm.
However, the origin of this saying comes from the Romans, the Roman centurions, all the warriors from the Roman Empire. Blood shed in battle together is stronger than water. So when you go to battle, when you go to war with someone, when you're in a struggle with someone together, that bond is stronger than anything else. So you can ask any of our veterans who have gone to battle, actual battle war. Like those guys are bros. Like there's nothing that's gonna separate that bond. So the working out together, you're creating an artificial struggle, an artificial war, an artificial battle that you as a couple go through together. So you create this bond where you're struggling together, you're battling, you're exerting yourself, you're thinking, "Holy shit, I'm not gonna make it through this workout." Even it's just a workout, but it's a synthetic battle that you're creating, but you're using a scientific biological tool to create an even tighter bond with your spouse. So if you can go through a struggle together physically like that, it's good practice because then when you have a real struggle, you're like, "Hey, we're give it to me. Give me a pound. We got this," right? So that's what I think I've gleaned from it, you know? What about you?
Yeah, no, I would endorphins, right? So
And that's how
if you're
yeah,
creating
from a
endorphins,
biological yeah,
so
absolutely.
there's a
Your joy,
scientific
yeah, absolutely.
experience. But yeah, I think I love the fact that you're teaching me. So because you're teaching me something, I'm able to be vulnerable in that space because I'm not an expert in it, and I just have poor form always. After working out for years, it's still not great. So I think I like the fact that that you're the teacher in that space, and I get to be the student,
Yeah.
and that vulnerability is I think where I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the time, and then we spent the time doing something productive,
Yeah.
something healthy, and then we go to bed, and it's really nice and restful, and we're lucky we have a jacuzzi, so sometimes we'll jump into the jacuzzi before a shower, so it's kind of beautiful, and that's a great date. That's a
Oh,
great
it's a
date.
beautiful day. I mean, you're working on so many levels there, right? So endorphins, creating a bond, getting fit, getting healthy, relaxing, enjoying. And if you're thinking of it, I mean, there's more to life than just working. There's more to life than, the tasks at the office, but like this, having fun. Um,
I'm gonna stop you right there
oh,
because you
okay.
say that a lot, and I'll be honest, I didn't understand for the last 19 years. I
Okay.
haven't quite understood that because for me,
You get a lot of joy out of your work.
I love to work. I loved my career. I love being productive that way, and it was and it's all about money, and I like to make money, and I like to
Hmm.
invest it, and I like to move it.
Yeah.
And I am now at your level. I'm starting to understand the other side. How that's not the point of life. The point of life, money is just a tool. That saying used to bug me also, but now I understand it. It's just a tool. And life is not about just being productive. It's, what it means to actually live and to be present. And
Oh,
that is something that I'm starting to understand and adopt in my life. After 20 years, after a very stressful
career.
career and, raising children, our youngest one is 12. So we're kind of out of the
Child rearing,
really
child
child
rearing.
rearing. We're still in it and it's still going to happen for a long time. But I'm able to start to open myself up to these other areas. And I want to thank you because you're a constant reminder of there's more to life than just making money.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had two things happen that got me to that space, and it's a constant work, it's a constant struggle. It's really easy to forget because you get caught up in the work that you do because it's meaningful. I there's meaning in what we do. Um, you and I both studied in Europe. Me in the late '90s, you in the early 2000s. Man, I'm old. But one of the things I really gleaned from being outside of our culture is that in the United States, it seems that we live to work. And a lot of couples get caught in that. Like, hey, we're just gonna work, work, work. In Europe and other parts of the world, it's the opposite. They work to live, but they really want to live. So if you're gonna go to lunch in Italy or in Spain, Germany, even the Germans who work so damn hard, if you go to lunch, they're not gonna be talking shop at lunch. They're gonna be having a beer and they're gonna be enjoying themselves, cracking jokes. And I really enjoyed that perspective of life. And I thought to myself, I want to live like that. I mean, that seems to me um, like real freedom when you can really enjoy that. And then a couple of years ago, a friend asked me, um, really blunt question, and I didn't know I didn't know how to answer it at the time. And he said, "Hey, Miguel, if you lost everything and you had zero money in your bank account, you lost your job, you lost everything, who are you?" Oh shit! Like, who am I? I don't know. I started counting all the things that I do for like life, but I'm like, who am I? So that's really when I come at with on that topic of like it's more than that because, a job, an industry, a career could change overnight,
Yeah.
and then what? So if you define yourself, your marriage by your accolades, those can all get taken away. Those are gone. If you define yourself solely by your job and it's taken away or it shifts to where you can't succeed at the level that you used to, then who are you then? Well, you're still you. Your job doesn't define you, right?
Right. Right. I had to take a whole course on that to figure that out, and be mindful of not allowing myself to be defined by my work.
Yeah.
But what are ways that what's your life look like? What describe to
Oh, well, so for me, I think you know this now. So if I don't move physically, if I don't do like a something tough during the week, I just operate at a lower level. So for me, it's been like jujitsu, CrossFit. I used to
or
cry, kettlebell, big mountains. I want to climb them. So I need that in my life. I need to have a challenge, a rabbit, not a rabbit to chase because I'm running my own race. I've realized that it's a marathon. I'm running my own race against my own self. My only competition was the guy from yesterday, me from yesterday. That's my only competition. I want to be better than him yesterday. But I need that. I need that like struggle to get it all out to detox because otherwise I have a tendency and I had a tendency to get into these bad patterns. For instance, where I would use alcohol to mask like all the negative stuff, and I have an interesting relationship with alcohol because I didn't for the longest time in my whole life I didn't drink alcohol. I was straight and I was sober for through high school and most of college. Um, and then thank you, Spain, for introducing me to a lot of wine. But the the fact that I would use it as a masking is because I wanted to feel not stressed, to not feel oxidated, to not feel tired. I wanted to just feel good. And the more I ran to alcohol, the more it created problems for us, for myself. So when I had that like epiphany, I'm like, man, I am messing up my marriage, myself, my life with this stupid alcohol. I needed a shift. So I needed something to make me feel alive and let me forget about the stresses of the world. So for me now, it's been jujitsu for the last 5 years. It's a beautiful, humbling experience where you get to get your ass kicked every day, and it feels so damn good about it.
And I 100% agree. It has been the best medicine for you.
Yes.
And I love your community and I
Yeah.
love what it does for you. In the beginning, I used to be like, oh, you're always gone. Now I push you out the door. Go, go
I
again,
know. I
go
know.
again.
I was really telling a friend how recently I was a little banged up, and I hadn't gone to jits for about 10 days, and you're like, "Hey, you haven't gone to jujitsu for a while. What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, why? I didn't know you were keeping track." "Oh, I'm not keeping track. You're just being an asshole. So you need to go to jujitsu like yesterday." Right?
Every day is jujitsu. And every wife that I speak to whose husband does jujitsu says the same thing. She's
Yeah.
like, in the beginning, it's kind of a problem because they're always gone. And then it gets to the point where you're like, you need to go. You need to go. Go, go, go.
It's true.
Because we get the best versions.
Yes,
We get
yes.
the best versions of you.
Yeah. Now I switch. I train in the morning a lot too,
Yeah.
so I don't take
Yeah.
away from family time. But yeah, no, thank you for supporting me. And there's other things that I do. I mean, I just went to Africa to summit
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro. I was gone for 2 weeks or what have you. You're like, go, go, go with your guys, go do your thing. So
Yeah.
you allow me space. I think we allow each other space
To live our lives. We
to
have
grow. We have to grow individually.
to live.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to grow individually and collectively. So
Agreed.
so my thing is this: if you too, I think we're both committed. One of the words that we use a lot in our marriage and our household is edify. Like our kids know what edify means to build up. So we want to build each other up. And I want to thank you because you fall into that whole Michelangelo effect. And the Michelangelo effect is, you got this big block of nothing. It's just a big rock. Then Michelangelo comes and starts chipping away at it and brings out the beauty, this beautiful statue out of nothing. So you do that for me. You chip away at all this stuff and you bring out the best in me. And I want to thank you for that. I want to honor that. And I hope that I could do even just half of what you do for me to bring out the best in you. But that's my driving mission is I want to bring out the best in you because your victories are my victories. My victories are wholeheartedly your victories too. So we're committed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do, Miguel. Every day I need to challenge myself because I want to be at your level. You're
Oh,
so
you're too
beautiful,
kind.
you're so intellectual.
Thank you.
And those are the things that I work on is, I want to be physically able to do things that you want to do. So I stay up with my nutrition and working out, but also meet you at your intellectual level.
Thank you.
So making sure that I'm reading the things that are going to be interesting for the both of us. Obviously I do a lot of things for myself,
And you teach me a
but
lot too.
I'm constantly looking to challenge you so that way this
Oh,
marriage becomes more interesting and it's
oh,
not stale and there's so much to look forward to. We're just starting. We're at
yeah.
20 years, but it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. We're still having fun. I think we have a commitment to have, putting the fun in the fundamentals, like my coach in Pop Warner used to say, the fundamentals, boys, the fundamentals. So just the fundamentals. One important thing that a lot of couples don't talk about because it takes a lot of energy to do all this stuff. It
It
takes a
does. It
lot
does.
of resources. I'm not talking just money. I'm talking about like internal drive and motivation and inspiration. It takes so much work. It does, and I'm sorry to put it that way, work, but if you're gonna work for something, it's because it's worth it.
Yeah.
And marriage is worth it. I'm 100%. Let's talk about energy, capacity, regeneration. This is a really important topic for you. I learned this from
Yes.
you because that before I would just like, I'm gonna do it till all the wheels fall off, and you taught me a different way.
Yeah, we got to settle down sometimes. So I put 100, I've talked a lot about my career, and I would put 100% into what I was doing. And my career was not just mental, it was very mental, but physical. I was driving and I was traveling all over constantly. I could be in the car for 6 hours in one day and then come home and then start the next, start my mom job and my wife job. So making sure that I had space to re-energize was very different than the way that you re-energize.
Yeah.
So my I need to have at least one day a week where I'm by myself. It can be with you guys, with the family, but I don't want to be around. I don't want to socialize. I don't want to be around a lot of people. I need to have a couple of hours of just recharging and giving myself the space to be ready and be completely 100% for the following week. So that was something that we
Struggled
struggled
with in
with
the beginning, yeah.
because we are very social. We have lots of friends.
Yeah.
We host a lot. We have lots of kids. There can big family. I come from a ginormous family, and Miguel as well. So us figuring out and respecting those differences, I think, has been really interesting in our marriage. And I would always talk about that energy, Miguel. I I need to harness my energy, and right now I'm pretty depleted.
Yeah.
So we learned how to say no
Yeah.
to every event
Yes.
because there's just you can't do it all.
And I struggled in the beginning with this because my energy gets replenished much differently than
Yes,
yours, and I believe that a lot of couples go through this and they feel like we're not communicating, we're struggling, and I'm like, well,
we
maybe
want different
it might be an
things.
energy clock thing, as simple as that. Because in the beginning, I was like, hey, girl, like I really want to go to this dinner. I need to go to this dinner. I want to go socialize, and you're like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't wanna go, I'm tired, and I didn't understand the concept of tired, like, "What are you talking about? This is, like, life-giving, it re-energizes you." It
Yeah.
re-energizes me, but it doesn't re-energize it depletes you,
Yeah.
right? So, for many years, we'd have this struggle, I'm like, "I wanna go, let's go," and I'd make you go, and then or you make me stay, and not that we made each other, we
Yeah.
made choices, but, um and then we again, thanks to our church, we talked about
Yeah.
the energy clock and how that goes and how people get re-energized, and you do need to replenish the batteries, right? So for me, I re-energize socially. I need to interact with other people, jokes, laughter, social. It doesn't have to be anything special. It's just, it could just be like hanging out at the house and like
Having friends
having friends
over.
over, barbecuing. Like for
Yeah.
me, that really fills my cup. For you, you need alone time. But
But the waters are
I know,
changing.
now it's like, wait a minute, I want to be
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. And
Like,
now you're kind of on the dark side with
the
me,
dark
and
side.
I'm starting to enjoy, energizing myself around other people because I spend a lot of time alone now.
Yes.
I work from home most of the time, and even throughout the last 20 year or 15 years, a lot of alone time. So I now am looking for more socialization, more people that makes me feel good. And you're so outside all the time. You're outside with people all the time, networking groups,
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
with clients. Your job has become very demanding that now I can see that you're looking for a lot of downtime.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's
It's
interesting.
okay for us to change, but
Yeah.
to be aware of what we need
Mhm.
to recharge. I think it's like along the lines of
Yeah.
what's your love language?
Yeah.
What's your energy language, right? What is
Yeah.
it that you need? And people are not aware of this. And I've brought this up to a lot of friends where I see them running ragged and they're just yes to everything. They're everywhere doing everything with everyone.
Well,
And I'm like, I think you guys need to maybe take a step back, maybe
yeah.
reevaluate all of these commitments so that you can
Be
be
present.
present
Yeah.
and be ready for the next thing that's going to happen in your schedule or with your family or your friends, because we have to harness our energy and we have to respect it.
Thank you for showing me excited. For a long time, I didn't know how to be alone and just be, and even though I meditate, right? I'm a
Yeah,
meditator, but I remember you'd be like, Miguel, I think you just need to rest. And I'm like, no, I don't need to
like a
rest.
little
That's
kid.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want
No.
to rest. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not tired. You know how the kids used to do that.
Yeah.
So I was that. So, um,
The last thing I want to talk about, or I want to now shift this over to one of the most important things in marriage, and something that we have realized early on, maybe not at the same time, but that marriage is a choice
it is. Love is a
and
choice.
love is a choice, and it's a daily choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice that we make to each other. Early on in the marriage, I even think before we got married, I said this to you. You were, and it kind of hurt you in the beginning, maybe. I don't know. You can talk about that in a second. But I told you I'm never going to take you for granted, because I know that I have to do my part so that you choose me every day. I'm not going to take that for granted.
You didn't say it as nicely
I
then.
probably didn't, because I don't usually say many things nicely. I just say them.
No.
But marriage is a choice, and I feel that a lot of young marriages don't realize that.
Yeah,
They might take it for granted, or they think it's a feeling, and it's definitely
I agree.
it could be a feeling
I
that
think
is created.
I agree. That was so smart of you because Hollywood's really ruined a lot of relationships. You have this People have these concepts that everything's gonna be romantic every day. There's these grand gestures and all everything's gonna be roses and fun and yeah, sometimes it is. Um, but yeah, love is a choice. It's a choice and you get to choose it every day. So I choose you every day. You choose me every day. I love that you are the last face I see before I go to sleep, and you're the first face I see when I wake up. I love
Oh,
that.
I choose you.
I choose you too. We're gonna do a lot more episodes on marriage, but we're gonna do episodes on real estate, on finance, on women's issues. I'm excited to have you take the reins on that, and we're also gonna do some events. So stay tuned for some Crown and Sage Thursday night thing events. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more of this, do us a favor, click the subscribe button wherever you're listening to this or viewing this, and join us on this wild ride, Crown and Sage. If you have any ideas or themes or concepts that you'd like to hear more about in this show, send us a message. We'd love to hear you.
Put in the comment section what you're doing for date night. I would love to hear and see what other people are doing. Have a